Hello everyone, and welcome to episode 2 of my first ever Pokemon Scarlet playthrough. I'm gonna be honest, the audio from my capture card did not work for a few episodes for a bit, so the game audio is not here. I have music playing from the soundtrack in the background just to kind of fill the empty space, because if it was just commentary, it would feel very quiet and empty and probably boring. Um, but yeah, there's a few episodes where the audio is just not working. Um, and also, I did lose a lot of the footage of the whole journey around the school, all the tutorials setting up all of the plot lines. It just got corrupted. I don't know how the footage got corrupted, but yeah, the intended episode 2 was mostly cutscene stuff like that, explaining the whole plot lines of the game, but instead I just decided to start with the actual opening of the treasure hunt, because a lot of the footage of the cutscenes was corrupted. So we're starting off with the first gym battle against Katy, the bug-type gym leader. Talk to Nemona first, and then we have to do the gym test. And I'm gonna be honest, out of all the gym tests in the game, this one being the first one was kind of frustrating. So many of them are super easy. But this one is just like, the physics of the olive are so annoying and frustrating to work with. Whereas like, gym tests after this are the easiest thing you'll ever do. And they take like 30 seconds. And then this one is just like you can just get stuck in a corner and just have to like force your way out of it. Um, and I know you can battle people for shortcuts, but I didn't really want to bother with that. Because coming into this, I wasn't sure how it would work. I thought there was a good chance that if I battled people and then completed the test, I was gonna get thrown straight into the gym battle right as it was finished. I didn't think that. Well, I didn't know if I would have time to go heal up in between. I thought it was one of those where as soon as you're done, you approach the gym leader and they just start the battle. So I thought, oh, if I battle these gym trainers that are optional, I might not have time to heal. So I kind of wanted to use this as more of like a test run to figure out how gym tests work. Because again, this is my first time seeing a lot of stuff from this game. I had not watched a playthrough coming into this, and I had not done any gyms the first time I played on an emulator, which I mentioned in the last episode. I got to the open world, I wandered around a little bit. I think I did bump into the Klawf Titan, and I got destroyed by it. But I essentially said, yeah, no, this is way too laggy now. I can't play this anymore. So I stopped using the emulator. And this was years ago when the game like first came out. But so yeah, this is my first experience with a gym test. And yeah, I get stuck on this stupid opening ramp for a while here, just trying to get it over it, because I did get caught in that corner, like I said, where the wall of Smolives is and the gym trainer, and then I almost accidentally rolled it right back over the ramp, which I managed to not do that there. So then this straightaway is pretty easy. Again, didn't decide to take this shortcut. I would have been done with it as soon as I finished this battle if I took the shortcut. But then again, you can just go around the wall and be done with it in another 20 seconds. I feel like it actually takes longer to battle than it does to just go around the map. Also, I don't know why the frame rate is so bad, particularly during the gym test. I don't know why. But, yeah, something, I don't know. My recording was just lagging out here, I guess, a little bit. I think it gets better later on in the episode, but for now, yeah, it's already getting better now. But for now, this is me finishing the test, getting the olive into the goal, and then after this, I will take on my first gym battle, which I will leave without the commentary, just for the sake of playing it out. So, once this cutscene's over, I will head back to the gym, and then my first gym battle against Katy will play out. Alright, now that that gym battle is over pretty quickly, because again, bug type specialist is not gonna do very well against a fire starter. Now we have hit the first evolution of the series. Diego, the Fuecoco, has now evolved into Crocolore. I honestly didn't realize that it was going to evolve this quickly, but this is the first evolution of the series and the first gym battle of the series, both at once. It was honestly pretty easy. Again, bug type specialists are never that much of a threat in any form, but especially when you pick the fire type. So we get the photo, we get the TM and everything, and that is one gym battle out of 8 completed, and one major story challenge out of 18. Again, I think one of my favorite parts of this game is the fact that they intentionally designed it so that there were 18 major story battles prior to like the Pokemon League and everything, and each of the battles is a different type. So in a way, every type has a specialist. If you count the Titan Pokemon as like type specialists, then in a way every single type has one, which is really cool. I think it's definitely the best they've ever done at like balancing out the gameplay to the point where you need to battle every type at some point. But anyways, after this cutscene, we're gonna head out again. And at this point, I still wasn't fully sure of where to go, so I just kept running further down the path. I ended up finding a few Pokemon that I wanted to catch, one of which is a Mankey. And I will say that up to this point, in like life, in real life, when I'm recording this voiceover, I have finished all of the 18 story battles, and I'm about to challenge the Elite Four. And up to this point of the playthrough that you guys have watched, this Mankey is the first Pokemon I catch that is still on my team to this day. Everything else I've caught up to this point of the 2 videos is no longer on my main team, whereas this Mankey, I kept it around all the way through. And then well, it actually takes a minute to catch. I forgot. I did not catch it on the first try. I think this is sort of when I realized that I'm on the wrong path, because struggling to catch the Mankey and it being level 15 was like, oh wait, am I supposed to be here yet? But I do end up catching it after a few attempts, which it gets Diego very low. Like, I almost lost the battle to it. Well, not lost the battle, but lost a Pokemon to it. But yeah, this is what makes me realize, yeah, I'm on the wrong path, because this is definitely a much higher level wild Pokemon than what I should be trying to catch right now. So I super potioned up, back to full health, and then I believe the next attempt is when I catch it. I don't know why I didn't try Great Balls, but like at the same time I don't think I want to waste them this early on a Mankey. I do think Mankey is way more valuable in this game than it ever has been before, just because of Annihilate. And I nicknamed it Asmodeus. I do think, again, it's way more valuable because Annihilate just makes it so much more powerful than Primeape ever could have been on its own. Then after that, I find a Rockruff, which I will say, again, this one is not the one that I keep around. I do catch it, but this is not the Rockruff that I use later on in the playthrough. This is just a regular Rockruff, but when we get to the point of the important Rockruff, you guys will know exactly which one it is. It's a very intentional encounter. I went out of my way to try and find that specific Rockruff, and I think a lot of people who have played Gen 9 know which Rockruff I'm talking about. But yeah, I do catch this one just for the sake of having one for now. And I do use it for a little bit. I think it's off the team by the end of the episode. Um, I nicknamed it Kiba, just because that's a common dog name, I think. Um, and I replaced the Claude with it. That was more of just a meme catch, if I'm gonna be honest, in episode 1, just for the sake of like, I have a couple friends who really like Clodsire, so I called it as a joke. And then we find a Terra Pikachu raid, and I'm gonna be honest, I still didn't know the different type symbols up to this point, and seeing when I went into the battle and saw the poison type skull, the skull crystal on its head, I thought it was Ghost. So I proceeded to play it as if it was a Ghost type raid with Crocodile. I think I just kept spamming Bite on it. I didn't realize it was poison type. I thought it was Ghost. I probably should have known from the purple, but even then, Ghost types are sometimes depicted as purple as well. So yeah, I spammed Bite for a while in this fight, just not realizing that it was poison type. If I knew that it was poison type, I probably could have brought in Sandshrew, or Rockruff, or honestly, half of my team would have been better to use than Crocodile against a poison type. But Bite, I think I realized that it wasn't Ghost after the first Bite actually, and then I pivoted to using Fire type move just because they're stab and they do more damage. But even then, it's not doing a lot. Yeah, this raid does take a while just because, again, haven't fully understood the type symbols yet, so I don't really know what I'm doing. I do go Terra mode to fight it with Crocodile just to boost the fire moves, just for the sake of like getting it over quicker. But yeah, this takes a while. And I do succeed. I do think that this is way too early for me to actually be failing raids still. Like, even a 2-star raid is not that difficult at this point in the game. Now if I went into a 3-star raid, that would be a different story. 3 stars are way too powerful for sub-level 20 Pokemon. But as of right now, I'm choosing my raids pretty effectively so far. And again, I do succeed to take out this Pikachu and catch it. Again, not a long-term Pokemon on the team. I do use it for a good amount of this episode, I think. But I don't use it much further into the game, especially when I get another different electric type later, which I also don't use for very long, but I do use in one specific key battle where an electric type is very helpful. But yeah, I do catch the Pikachu, and as unoriginal as I am, I give it a very predictable nickname. I named it after Ash. I do swap out Sandshrew for now, and again, I don't end up using Sandshrew again later. Just because, again, I mean, it was my first Terra Pokemon. It was a high level for that point in the game, but it's also a Sandshrew. And I love Alolan Sandshrew, Alolan Sandslash, but I'm not a fan of the original as much. And then here is the next long-term team member, Rookity, because I've always wanted to use a Corviknight ever since that Pokemon came out, but this is my first time playing a Gen 9 or 8 game. So this is my first time playing a game with Corviknight in it. So the second I saw Rookity, I was like, yeah, I want to catch this thing. Corviknight is one of my favorite regional birds ever. It's so cool, but I've just never been able to use it up until now. So yeah, this Rookity I nicknamed Lenore. It's a Raven reference. And I took out Makani from the party just because, I mean, I did catch a Fletchling and give it my typical flying type nickname and be like, okay, I might keep this around. But I'm not using 2 birds. I'm not using 2 flying types, and between the 2, I just used Talonflame in X and Y and in, no, not in X and Y. I used the Talonflame in my Moon Nuzlocke. I just used Talonflame, and I've never used Corviknight, so I really wanted to use Corviknight this time around. And then I find my first wild Terra Pokemon, a Jigglypuff, which I switch in Pikachu. I think this one is pretty obviously water type. It's very difficult to mistake that for anything else. That's clearly a water spout. So I swapped out Diego and swapped in Pikachu. And yeah, it's over pretty quickly just because Pikachu is my highest level Pokemon up to this point because it was a 2-star raid, which I believe makes it level 20. So this is over pretty quickly. I catch the Jigglypuff in one attempt, and I do not put it in the party because even though it's a Wild Terra Pokemon, it's a Jigglypuff. It's not very useful. Again, there are Wild Terra Pokemon I use later on. Lenore gets a lot of XP from that, though. And then here's a raid. Although it's 1 star, I know what that silhouette is. And unfortunately, this Charcadet isn't something I end up actually using for a while. I mean, I would love to use a Charcadet, but my starter is Fire type. That's the one issue. If I had picked one of the other starters, I totally would have used this Charcadet long term. But I didn't want Fire type overlap. I do believe my final team has a little bit of overlap, just because, I mean, I've already spoiled the fact that my starter sticks around and Annihilate sticks around, which are 2 ghost types. But I feel like their secondary typing coverage is good enough for me to justify having 2 ghost types. But yeah, I tried my best not to overlap much, which is why I didn't use the Charcadet for very long. I do use it a little bit. I don't think I ever really used it in battle, but I had it on my team for like the remainder of this episode, I think, at least. And again, somehow I don't realize that this one's a ghost type. I don't know what I'm doing where I just... Oh wait, no, I do realize it after 1 turn, and then I use Bite. I don't know why I opened up with Incinerate, but yeah, I do catch this one pretty easily because it's 1 star, which is just free, honestly, at any point in the game. But yeah, it took a turn for me to realize that was ghost type for some reason. So then it's down. I catch it pretty easily because again, Terra type or Terra raid Pokemon are guaranteed catches. You can't fail a capture as long as you win the raid. So as soon, like, that's why I just always use normal Pokeballs, just because it's a guaranteed capture. You can't, it cannot pop out of the ball. So Charcadet has been caught. I get the rewards for it, which honestly, I'm gonna be honest, these rewards are crazy late game when you're doing like 3-4 star raids and you're getting large candies and like 5 feathers. Like those are, it's insane when you do like 3-4 star raids later in the game. So I named the Charcadet Garnet, put it in the party for now. I believe I swapped out. Yeah, this is where I swap out the Rockruff. But don't worry, Rockruff will be back later, just not Kiba. And then here is where I get the call from Arvin about the Titan Klawf. And this is really the last thing I do in this episode is I fight the Klawf. So this episode is the first gym battle, a few Terra raids, and then the first Titan battle. I spent a minute here trying to figure out how to get it to look onto me before realizing I had to go up and follow it. I thought I just had to trigger it by walking into it the first time. But no, I had to follow it up the cliff a bit. And then I fight it. I did plan for the battle this time though, because this is the one Titan I knew going in, because like I said earlier, I accidentally stumbled into this thing on my emulator playthrough the first time, and I got destroyed because I had Fuecoco at the front of my party. But this time, I put Asmodeus at the front. I had a fighting type, and I have low kick on it, which is really good because Titan Klawf is super heavy. So low kick is one of the craziest moves to use on this thing, I think. especially when you have your Mankey tear it into fighting type as well. Because then it just does even more damage. So yeah, I low kicked it, and I instantly finished this section of the battle in one hit. So yeah, then it escapes. I have to chase it down, which I do pretty quickly because it's just right down the hill. Then Arven's gonna show up, and we're gonna do the second portion of the battle. And then, honestly, I'll let this play out without commentary, and then I'll be back after this battle ends. So yeah, now that the Titan battle's over, that's pretty much it for this episode. I finished up the conversation with Professor Sada on the phone, and then I saved my game. And for episode 2, that's pretty much it. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.